Well, hello, folks. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. Too excited to go to sleep, so let's go ahead and get a little deep into the Nag Hammadi scriptures. I've got the book here, but I've also found it online. So this way, you don't have to just look at me. You can look at the text as well. And we're over today now into I think it's called the Secret Book of John. Yes, it's called the Secret Book of John. And I really like John's teachings. I'm kind of partial to John, and one of the big reasons why I'm partial to John is because John didn't really want to write. John was the guy that preferred to stay in the background. He was kind of the peacekeeper, and he was, like the steady Eddie. He was the glue that kind of held the apostles together. John is known traditionally as the disciple that the Christ loved, and if you see the painting by Da Vinci, The Last Supper, and the disciples got his head laid on the chest of the Christ. I just realized I'm kind of tired. I was on with Rex Bear today, and I got all fired up. But we're going to go ahead and do this because this is what we do, right? This is what we do for fun. And he was called the disciple that the Christ loved. And he didn't write. He just was a support guy. But finally, about 40 years after all the other disciples were dead, and 30 years after Paul, rat bastard, stopped writing, John wrote the gospel. He wrote 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, and he wrote the book of Revelation, or at least parts of it. And John didn't want to write, but he was compelled to write by events that took place beginning with the destruction of Jerusalem and the near destruction of the entire original movement of the Christ, or the original Yeshua movement. So John saw that there were lies and damn lies being told. And John saw that truth was on the decline and that error was on the ascendancy. So he sat down and he wrote the Gospel of John. He wrote what's called the First Epistle of John, Second Epistle of John, Third Epistle of John, and the book of Revelation. And he also wrote this, which is in the Nag Hammadi scriptures, the secret book of John. With that perspective of not writing and just kind of watching and taking everything in, and we just did a teaching about James saying that the one who's really wise, and the one who really is balanced in both his feminine and masculine wisdom, is the one that just kind of sits back and is humble, and you almost have to pull the wisdom out of him or her. And certainly John meets that description. And a thing we have to remember with the Nag Hammadi, just because it's Nag Hammadi, just because it's Dead Sea Scrolls, just because it's parabiblical, doesn't mean that it's 100% accurate. It also, still has the human factor figured in. But let's take a look at this. One day John, brother James, sons of Zebedee, whether that's true or not, let's just kind of forget about that part. One day John was going up to the temple. So we know that this is before AD 70 because the temple was destroyed in AD 70. So this is early for John. He didn't start writing until probably 96 or so, and he was done writing by 100 AD. And John went up to the temple, and one of the Pharisees came to him, and I wish I had a interlinear of the Dead Sea Scrolls and of the Nag Hammadi. I don't think such a thing exists. These were written in Coptic, so that would be a chore. But a Pharisee by the name of Aromanios came up to him and challenged him. These Pharisees, man, they always want to jump in your face. They always want to holler and scream. And we still have Pharisees today, and we even have Pharisees within the truth movement. Rex and I were talking about this, Rex Bear of the Leak Project. We were talking about this off the air. And, I'm not going to tell you exactly what we were talking about, but there's, certain people in certain schools of thought within the truth realm that if you don't believe their pet doctrine, then you are you're a shill, you're a hack, you're a bad person. You don't have any integrity, you don't have any intelligence. And that's kind of how these Pharisees were. It's exactly how these Pharisees were. And this guy came up to John and he challenged him. He says, "So where's this teacher you used to follow?" If it had been Peter, Peter would have popped him. But John replied and said, "He's gone back to the place from which he came." And notice, I want you to notice something here. If the Christ, the real teacher of John, had been crucified on the cross, buried in the tomb, resurrected, then this Pharisee would not have been asking John, "Hey, where did your teacher go?" Because a Pharisee is part of the ruling class of the Jewish religious intelligentsia and the ruling party. So he would not have asked John, "Hey, where's your teacher?" He would have known that his teacher had been killed, and he would have been saying, well, your dead teacher, yeah, we got him, you're next. But the Pharisee wasn't saying that. So that is a very powerful testimony that what I've been sharing with you for 5 years is, well, I haven't been sharing that with you for 5 years. Maybe 3 years ago we came into that revelation that the Christ was not crucified. Either A, there was not a crucifixion and it's all made up, or B, there was a false flag with a patsy, likely Thomas Didymus, the twin, who was crucified and swooned on the cross. They didn't break his leg, so they brought him down, put him in the tomb, revived him, and used him to be their dancing bear plastic Jesus. I think that's what happened, but I would not at all be surprised to learn that there was no such event as the crucifixion, and it was just all made up. But because there's not one word in reliable extra-biblical writings, and in fact, the most reliable extra-biblical writings from the period are completely silent on that, and that's not something that you would be silent about. So this is further proof that the Christ was not crucified. And John's reply is very telling. He's gone back to the place from which he came. Now notice John didn't say he's gone back to the heavens, though he may have. I personally think that he went to other places on earth to teach other peoples. There are stories in the Native American communities of a person that's very Christ-like coming to teach them, and the chronology is workable, that he could have left Judea and went and taught them, or he could have left them and went and taught in Judea. So, and there's a lot of talk about the Christ teaching in the Far East. There's talk about the Christ teaching up in the Northern Europe area. There's talk of the Christ teaching in Mesoamerica, and there's for those of you that are in Mesoamerica and even in the Pacific Islands. So the Pharisees said, that Nazarene that misled you guys, told you lies, closed your hearts, and turned you away from your ancestral traditions. Now, narrowly interpreted, that's true, because John, from all indication, did come from a Judaic, a Jewish type of an ancestral tradition. But the fact of the matter is that the Nazarene, the Christ, actually freed us to go back to the teachings of our ancestral traditions. Rome was smashing and crashing and bashing. Most of the evangelism was done at the edge of the Roman sword, convert or die. And when Paul was talking about falling back into days and weeks, it wasn't talking about Judaism, and I've got a great teaching on that somewhere here on this, among the 421 with this video, videos on the site. But they weren't talking about falling back into Judaism. They're talking about falling back into their ancestral traditions. And specifically, he was talking to the Galatians, and they were Gauls, they were Celts, and they were from a Druid Celtic type of a tradition. Never had been Jews, so they couldn't have been falling back into Judaism. So get that lie out of your mind. It's a lie, Stevie, from Nacho Libre. And then when John heard these things, he turned away from the temple, and he went off to a deserted mountain place. He's very unhappy. And that's typical. This has the ring of truth if you understand John being, an in the background kind of guy, not a guy that's going to get in somebody's face. So, this Pharisee came, got all aggressive with him. So John, he just avoided confrontation. And I'm really having some heaviness come on me, some tiredness, because I think this is important for somebody that's listening and is going to hear it. So I'm not going to stop. And even if you see me stifle a yawn now and then, I don't really feel tired. I just feel like there's something trying to prevent this particular message from coming out. And guess what? We're going to do it, and we're going to have it if I can just get myself comfortable. So John, he went up into a deserted mountainous place, and I can see him going up in a place like Gethsemane that kind of overlooked the city, and maybe even on that big rock, where everybody painted the Christ, and it never really happened, of course. So John's up there, and he's thinking, and he's pondering, and he's asking, and he's saying, how was the Savior designated? Why did the Father send into this world? Who is his Father? What kind of realm will we go to? And these are questions that I know I've asked, and I'm pretty certain that these are questions that you have asked as well as we go on through the secret book of John in the Nag Hammadi scriptures. And we start to get some great information here. And John says that the Christ told them that this realm we live in, is modeled on the imperishable realm. But he didn't teach us about the latter. So the Christ wasn't teaching them too much about the imperishable realm. And to me, that's not all that exciting, or not all that surprising, because really, we don't have to worry so much about the imperishable realm. What we really have to worry about this realm. We have to deal with what we're faced with here in an everyday manner. And if we can take care of what we're taking care of here, then we'll be well prepared to take care of what comes on. And it's really one step at a time. It's baby steps, and we need to focus on our business here and not be worried about our business there, because we as humans, we have a proclivity to either live in the past or look towards the future. And we really miss life because we don't focus on what we have now. And, there's a silly saying, I heard this years ago, but it's always stuck with me. Yesterday's history, tomorrow is a mystery, today's a gift. That's why it's called the present. And it's very hard to learn to live in this moment. And segueing off into something related, but not actually here in the secret book of John, I've always wondered, and I remember talking with a very attractive lady about this one time while I was lying in her bed. And see, that's the things I do, even when I do have a girlfriend. I'm talking about this kind of stuff, and maybe that's why I don't have a girlfriend. And you know what? That's okay, because until I do get a girl that can talk about this stuff and be into this stuff, I'm very happy with my own company. And that's true, I really am. And it took me about 49, 48 years to get to that point. It's because I'm a slow learner. But at any rate, what was I talking about? Why in the world was I going to this? I hate it when that happens. I completely lost my train of thought. Now, I was thinking about living in the moment. Thank you. And we were talking, this lady and I, about the possibility and really the reality that there's multiple dimensions. And across these multiple dimensions, there's multiple us's, multiple Jeffs, multiple you's. And the fact that we could probably leverage the power and the energy of ourselves across the dimensions to facilitate great acts and enhanced performance in this moment that we're in. And I wasn't talking about sexual performance, just because I was laying on the bed. We were just talking about this, spiritual stuff. So, and I've got, I really want to focus on that, and I'm writing that down. Transdimensional, what should we call it? Transdimensional application. We'll start with that. Transdimensional application of transdimensional energetic application. How's that sound? .com. And I think that if we can learn to be in this moment, not only can we take advantage of and leverage this moment, but we can leverage this moment across multiple dimensionalities and become very powerful in the moment. That's good stuff. And then suddenly, while John was having these deep thoughts, behold, the heavens opened, and the whole of creation shone with a light from above, and it seemed like the world quaked. And he was afraid, yet, behold, this is interesting, and I haven't read this. I'm doing this cold, which I don't often do. A little child appeared before me, John says, in the light. And I continued looking at him as he became an old man. This is so... If I was Pentecostal, I'd speak in tongues again. I wasn't even, I hadn't read this, because I picked up, my Nag Hammadi book here, and I was reading, I was going to teach you from the book and talk to you from the book. And then I said, well, you know what? I could probably find this online, so I didn't get down this far. And we're talking about being in the moment. We're talking about living in the moment. And John sees this little boy become an old man and then come back to a young man again. And he didn't understand what he was seeing, but we've already discovered. See, that's what you call synchronicity, yes, but that's what you call, that's why it was so much opposition to to me getting this out. And now you can see I'm energized. Now you can see that heaviness has lifted, and now you can see that this is revelational. There's somebody out there right now crying tears down their face, because this is not only revelational, revelational is not a word, but we can make it one if we want. Because if I think it's a word and you think it's a word, we got some agreement there, and we'll make it so. So revelational. And there was a child, and then he became an old man. Then he changed again and became a young man. What's that telling us, folks, as we go through this and, talking about laying in bed with pretty women and stuff? And, I mean, if you're going to lay in bed with somebody, it's an attractive person is better than... Anyway. This is what happens when you do videos at 1:50 a.m. You get what you get, right? And it's talking about maximizing and understanding and living in the moment. And it's talking about leveraging across dimensions. Can you see that? Old man, young man, in-between man. Maximize your moment and learn to maximize your moment across dimensions. I'm telling you, man, this is amazing. And I didn't understand what I was seeing. And that screen, I've got a big screen out there past my laptop here. And it's just far away that these cheater glasses don't really help me out. And then I guess I could read this one right in front of me, because with the glasses, it's much better. And this didn't start happening to me until like 6 months ago. I've always had 20/10 vision, and now, good grief, you know what I'm saying? But that's okay. And I ordered me some spiffy new glasses, and they should be here any day. They're blue, and they just sit on your nose like Ben Franklin's. So I didn't understand what I was seeing, but the one likeness had several forms, and all these likenesses appeared each through the other, and the vision had 3 forms. Folks, how amazing is that? I mean, are you seeing what I'm seeing? You know, we come into this cold, we're talking about leveraging across dimensions, and here it is, the word here that we're reading talking about leveraging across dimensions. And the person said to me, John says, John, why are you doubting? Why are you afraid? Don't you know this image? And he says, don't be afraid. And then he says, I'm with you always. Ooh, shazam! I'm with you always, plurality always. Folks, our transdimensional individuality is with us always. Young, old, boy, man, maybe even boy, girl. I mean, there may be a you in another place that's of a different sex than you are in this place. And look, what's he say? I'm the Father, I'm the Mother, I'm the Son, I'm the incorruptible purity. And I've come to teach you. Oh, good grief. I can't believe, I can believe it. Wow. I've come to teach you what is, what was, and what will be. Can't you just see that they're talking about transdimensional reality? Transdimensional applications of your energetic essence. What is, what was, what will be. You know, my silly little talk about past, present, future. The invisible world and the world that is visible. And the immovable race of perfect humanity. Unbelievable. The invisible worlds, the other dimensions, the world that is visible, the one that we're in, and the immovable race of perfected humanity, even all the lives we've lived before coming together. And he says, raise your head and understand what I'm teaching you, and share with others who have received the Spirit that we are from the immovable race of perfect humanity. Wow. How amazing and incredible that is. How amazing and incredible that is. We are transdimensional beings. We are transdimensional creatures. Sometime in some place we're young, in some place we're old, in some place we're father, in some place we're mother, in some place we're son. But in all places, in totality, we're incorruptible, we're pure, we're immovable, we're part of the race of perfected humanity. I remember, I think it's the Christ that said, I am not yet not yet appearing as what I will be. And even the Christ was talking about coming into another place, a deeper place, a higher place. So the secret book of John, see, I told you I really enjoyed John. And it's the revelation of the mysteries hidden in silence. And again, this is something huge to me because I have really become adept, and I'm a neophyte in it, but I've got myself up into double digits, which to me is gargantuan, of actually meditative silence. And I know that the Christian model is blah, 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 yak, 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 yak. You call it praying, but all you're doing is spraying, blah, blah, blah. And it's such, I think it's taught us that way by design. So we are always blabbing and we can't stop and listen. But when you start to learn to meditate in silence, the real mysteries are hidden in silence. Anyone that understands meditation says, oh yeah. And mysteries about leveraging our energy, our ability, and our focus across dimensions is available to us. I'm saying, oh, I wanted to talk about that, and here we are being led into that study right before our very eyes. This is the Nag Hammadi Gospels. This is the secret book of John, and this is some wow kind of teaching. It may be 2 a.m., but that was 26 minutes and 3, 4, 5 seconds. That will change my life. And I hope that you were paying attention so it can also change your life. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell so you get notified of all these teachings. And I'm doing, you know, Rex says he does like 10 a day. I'm going to do as many as I can a day. As much information that I get downloaded into my being, I will share with you, and hopefully your need will be matched up with the information that I'm providing you, and we can be of service to one another. Give me your feedback, ask your questions, share your comments. All I ask is that you be excellent to each other. Be excellent to me. Don't be rude. Don't try to take over the channel and share, you know, your own videos and videos from other places. That's not cool. That's not etiquette. And don't be nasty. Don't be rude. And don't try to take over the channel and preach your own message, because you can start your own YouTube channel. It's very easy, and you can do all the preaching that you want on your channel. But please question, please share, and please subscribe and like the videos as well. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. I do have the website, which you can connect to right here on the site, on the channel. It's jeffreydaugherty.com, christianwhistleblower.com. And we do have Unindoctrinate, at Unindoctrinate on Twitter as well. And you can find me on Facebook. And I'm getting tired again now that we've got this out. On Facebook, under my name, Jeff Daugherty. So glad that we took this time together. Glad that you showed up. Glad that I showed up to do this, because wow, what a deep and profound revelation from the Nag Hammadi scriptures. As you can see, that this is part of a playlist, and this, I believe, is number 10 in our study of the Nag Hammadi scriptures, and we're only like, can you believe it? We're only about 110 pages into an 800-page Nag Hammadi scripture, so we'll have a few more of these, and we're not going to finish it tonight. But I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, here to help you unwind your mind, and here to help you unindoctrinate yourself.